the government that I know about. My Teddy Roosevelt and my sergeant and my lieutenants and all that kind of stuff, you know. I never grew up to do all that kind of stuff, but I seen other people doing it. I always wanted to. You know, it would have been nice if I could have gotten the service, you know, and been some kind of military guy, a United States Marshal or something, you know. But I've been stuck in jail watching everybody else live their life. So then as I grow up, I begin to see that I've been out there just as much as I'm in here too sometimes, you know. And even though I don't make sense right now, that later on sometimes like just filters in somewhere, it says, hey, who we got locked up in there? I mean, what is this trip? You really want to know?
Okay, well, no, Mr. Manson.
I don't think so.
We'll say if down the line you were actually given a parole date, what would your plans be?
I would go poof.
Poof?
Poof.
Now, I noticed that in the most recent future plans, it says residence, Manson offers no plans for his future.
I don't have a future, guy. I never had a future.
Well, then in the report back in '92, it says Manson stated that he has no plans for the future. He stated that he has was not interested in paroling and that he would be lost in our society.
Right on.
His main concern at this time would be to be released to a general population setting in order to program. In other words, you want to get back a general population in prison.
I was supposed to have been sent to the main line of San Quentin from Vacaville, but they sent me over here and locked me up so they could act my face over there in some movies.
I see.
Some more.
Okay, so you really don't have any parole plans?
Well, I don't think parole would be a reasonable perspective. I think wouldn't take a parole anyway, not really. I'm thinking, you know, I'm here, we're going through the changes of it, but I would like to go back to court. I'd like to get my chance, my day in court. We're based and founded on that. Sooner or later, even if I die tonight, you're still going to have to give me a trial. Sooner or later, that court is going to click. And when that big chair clicks, that's going to be right, and I'm going to get my rights.
Mr. Manson, those are questions that are just part of the parole hearing, is to come up with what your plans are so that we have some idea.
Well,
now, the other phase of the portion of the hearing that I'm handling is letters. And we received a whole bunch of letters regarding you personally. There's apparently there was some kind of a coupon in one of the magazines or newspapers about whether the general population wanted you to parole or wanted you to remain in prison.
Island, in the diamond mines of, what's his name, Jomo Kenyatta, Malma, remember him? I was in prison with him.
Are you responsible for the murders?
I'm responsible for Scotch and the bagpipe. And I killed a lot of people in my life, I have. I've done a lot of things that I'm not ashamed of. I got convicted for things I didn't do, and then I got loose for things that I did. I was everything that a man was supposed to be down on the level that I was walking on. I was a hobo and everything I knew to know, and came back on the English language as if they were my words, and that I had discovered this whole damn thing myself. And I was really Christopher Columbus. And then I went and asked the doctor what he thought. And he killed himself because somebody else was laying with his woman, and he was jealous. And I said, isn't that silly? Why can't y'all just get along, love each other, you know?
Okay.
So, is that guilty? It'll bring to history, if you got one.
I understand. All right, let me go through your record real quick. Says as a juvenile you were placed in Gabalt School for Boys.
Yes, sir.
In Indiana.
Yes, sir.
It was in 1948 for burglarizing a grocery store.
I think the time was a little off. I think it was 44.
Okay. Well, let me finish this and then you can correct it, whatever's wrong in here. Says you went AWOL from the school and placed in Indiana State Reformatory in Indiana. Went AWOL with some other boys. Subsequently stole an automobile and drove to Beaver, Utah. Arrested in 1951, convicted of the Dyer Act. Sentenced to the National Training School for Boys in Washington, D.C.
Right.
Paroled in 1954. 55, Los Angeles, grand theft auto, 5 years probation. 56, probation violation under the Dyer Act. 1957, federal prison, Los Angeles, attempted escape, 5 years probation. 59, forgery in Los Angeles, you got 5 years probation. 1960, Los Angeles, probation violation, 10 years federal prison, McNeil Island, Washington. 1967, Ukiah, interfering with an officer, 3 years probation. 68, South Ventura, reproducing or possessing a face mile of a driver's license. 1969, and that's when you came in for this. Is all that pretty correct?
Sounds reasonable.
Okay.
So, Charles Manson had quite a...
The other board didn't even consider what you're considering.
Okay.
And I appreciate your considerations in this area. Those were the days that set my mind to do what I had to do for what I had to do. I had a captain named Kirk who would get 4 other dudes to hold me on 4 points and take a big leather strap and teach me what he wanted done. He wanted it done. There was no in between.
Which institution was that?
That was Plainfield.
Plainfield?
Plainfield. That was right after the Second World War. If you remember, a lot of the people from Europe came over here and got jobs right after that.
Mm-hmm.
So that era of confinement is not equal to what we're doing now.
Okay.
It was pretty treacherous place in them days because we were at war. So I've been raised in the stomach of this beast, and I've been living and doing whatever I have to do. If I can live in peace, I'll run and live in peace. If I can get along with people, I'll get along. You know, I'll do my best to do everything I can. But when they mess with my music, or they fuck with my family, or they bother my dog, or steal my cows, or mistreat my horses, I'll do whatever I feel is necessary to do whatever I feel is necessary. Because I believe in George Washington. I believe in the Constitution of George Washington. I believe in the United States government. I don't believe in Abraham Lincoln. I never did. I don't like him at all. That's the truth.
Okay, thank you. Well, would you give your attention now to Mr. Douglas? He's going to talk to you about what you've done since you've been in the institution.
Good afternoon, Mr. Manson.
Yeah.
Okay, we're going to talk a little bit about how you've been getting along since you had your last parole suitability hearing, which was in 4/21/1992. Your classification score currently is 343. And of course, the first thing I reviewed in your C file was your 115s. And I counted 13 115s that you've received since your last hearing, with a total of 35 since you've been in CDC. Your last 115 was for threatening staff on 10/31/1996. And then you got another one on 6/21/96 for disobeying orders, 4/27/96 for disobeying orders, and 1/14/95 for male harassment. You got 9/25/95 for threatening to kill a peace officer. On 4/5/95, you got one for illegal possession of illegal business dealings with narcotics. I guess were involved in that. On 2/18/95, you failed to report. On 1/4/94, you were out of bounds. On 7/21/94, you had an unauthorized tape recorder. On 7/21/93, you had possession of a stabbing in
4, when the Navy intelligence opened up Terminal Island for the government prison system, they was turning it over from a Section 8 into a prison perspective. I put everybody in Ohio, Kentucky, West Virginia, Indiana, and they sent me out here on the coast and set me on the yard out there to make a new prison system. I didn't know what they was doing. I didn't know what I was doing. But the federal prisons are run like ships. They're like Marion, Illinois, and Leavenworth are run like out of USS Missouri and all them places.